there, Vicky here. So today we are having stuffed butternut squash. It's stuffed with quinoa and pepitas and kale. Can't remember everything else that's in it at the moment, but let's get to it.
So, first things first, I pulled out my cutting board and the recipe instructions. I needed to get these butternut squash in the oven because they took about an hour to roast. So, some mild degree of difficulty there trying to get them cut in half. This is the tiny little cute one that I had for the kids' plates. And then this is the bigger one that I got for us. Honestly, we could have just done the bigger one. That was more than enough squash for the four of us. Um, but, you know, everyone wants to feel fancy. So after I got these on the cutting board, I took it over to the stove and I did pop that in the oven. After baking for 30 minutes, they were supposed to be brushed with this butter and brown sugar mixture. So I started that. I realized that I had kind of doubled the recipe since I was doing two squash. So then I went back and doubled the butter. Meanwhile, I needed stock to cook the quinoa with, so I pulled some out of the freezer, went ahead and put that in a pan. I didn't turn the stove on just yet, but I wanted to get that, you know, out of the freezer at least. Washed off my quinoa. Now I'm brushing the butter mix and sugar mixture over those squash and putting them back in the oven. And then this is when I actually put the quinoa on the stove. Rinsing off some chickpeas that also go in this. And then I started pulling the stems off of the kale. I low key hate these bagged mixtures because they leave too much of the stems on. If I had been able to find the like whole leaves, I could have just dealt with it myself, but couldn't. So here we are. And I wash these pretty thoroughly. I am never delicate with kale because it can take some, you know, moving around. And then I did go ahead and get that wrong a little bit. Now, my family includes some picky eaters, so I decided to make kind of like a bar with this where all of these different components were in separate little bowls for them to pick and choose from. So I was setting out the pepitas and dried cranberries and the quinoa, and now I'm cooking up the kale just until it started to wilt. And I put those in a bowl as well as these chickpeas. Now, the recipe didn't call to do anything with the chickpeas, but I salted and peppered them, and I also put a little honey and red wine vinegar. This is a little fruit bowl that I made primarily for the kids, but we ate some too, um, so that we had a safe option for them to eat and enjoy. And now I'm pulling it out of the oven. Can you hear that sizzle? What that liquid is a combination of the moisture released from the squash and the butter.
Do you hear the sizzle? Can you hear it?
And so this is what my plate looked like. For the kids, I let them choose and I kind of put the toppings on individually so that they could mix and match as they chose. But overall, this was a filling dinner.